Hey, welcome back. New week. So I wanted to get started with a brief announcement that I am going to start another 4-week intro course starting probably mid-August. I'll define that date a little bit more as we get closer to August, but I wanted to start to talk about it now to give you all a chance to, drop into your body and see how this feels to you. Does this feel right? Something that you would want to do? And if you would like to know more. So what this is going to be is kind of an offshoot of the podcast, shall we say. So it's going to be beyond the shadow, the reclaiming of you. So what is that going to look like? It's going to be a 4-week one-on-one live calls with me. There's not going to be any pre-recorded courses or homework modules or things like that that you might be used to. My strength really comes in the moment with you, being in the same space with you, talking with you, and finding out what's bringing you into my space, and really taking a look at what you're feeling and where is that coming from in your body, and maybe some of the stories that you're telling around that's influencing your day-to-day life, with relationships, decisions, things of that nature. So yeah, it's going to be a 4-weeker. Like I said, one-on-one weekly calls with me. And so a couple of things that we're going to be looking at here, just to give you an idea. I want to know what brings you into space with me, what you're wanting to work on. So we're going to look at your human design, and you would run your chart before coming and send it to me, so I have a chance to look at it and digest it and just pick up bits and pieces and clues and give me time to look at it. And then we're also going to look at somatically moving some of that energy through the body live together in a room with me. It could be many different types of tapping sequences that we look at. Just talking moves energy, and it is healing. Sometimes when we don't say the words that we find maybe shame or guilt around, when we start saying those words out loud, we move that energy through us. And it is a physical release of that energy. And you feel that shift from heaviness to lightness start to come in. So we work on that. And then we really start building a foundation of self-trust for you and seeing what that feels like for you. Instead of analyzing it, it's like, okay, is this the thing for me? Do I really want to do this? And looking at different avenues of trying to logically think your way through the healing. Honestly, there's not a logic involved in the healing. It is about the body work, the somatic body work, the energy that we're holding in and not letting out. And when we move that out of our body, then the shifts and the discoveries about who you really are. And it's so amazing. I can't say enough about it, but bringing that to you. So all that, like I said, for 4 weeks, weekly one-on-ones, no pre-recorded courses, no homework like that. Just you and I in a room, and 4 weeks. And the investment is going to be $84.99. And, when I was trying to decide on what that investment would look like, I got a couple of questions about it that it's like, why $84.99? Because, most of the time I see it for like $97. There's something I like about the numbers $84.99, to be perfectly honest. And also, sometimes, $97 can feel like a lot for some people, and it becomes inaccessible. And I want this to be accessible for everyone who is in need. So I'm sticking with the $84.99. Anyway, I will continue to bring this up, and I'll define a date as we go. So yeah, I wanted to get that out there and give you a chance to think about that. And if you have questions about it, definitely shoot me an email. I'll leave my email in the show notes. And I'll also leave my social media handles. You can DM me. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can certainly leave me a message there and I will respond. So on with the podcast. So this week we are going to talk about, why do I feel guilty about putting myself first, putting my needs first, and maybe feeling like I'm not earning it. Maybe you feel like, You need to earn your rest. You need to go do more before you can take some time off, or you need to go do more before you feel like you have earned a day off of rest and fun and relaxation. Ooh, yeah, I said the word fun and relaxation. Rest can look like a lot of different things for us. Rest can look like a walk in the woods. It could look like maybe a weekend of camping, or it could look like, gosh, so I had this week off, this past week of my day job, and I needed the rest. I truly needed the rest and relaxation. But this is kind of how my rest and relaxation this whole week kind of moved. I still woke up pretty early. I did a lot of my normal routinely things that I would normally do. But I also let myself relax into the walks with Lola, my dog, and my husband, and Libby, our other dog. And taking that time versus rushing through the walks, like I know is going to happen starting Monday because I go back to work on Monday. So I don't have the time that I would love to have unless I get up really early. And I'm not doing that. I need my sleep. We all need our sleep. So that's also a part of reclaiming your rest, by the way, is getting enough sleep. But the rest of my week, how did it look? I spent my mornings a lot of times, cooking because I love to cook and I find it fun. I find it relaxing and I find it creative. So those things really, really work for me. And it allows me to just be so present in my day and to be present for anyone else around me. That I noticed that big, big time. And just coming and doing what felt right for me in the moment. Not because I earned it or because I did enough, but because I wanted to. That's what I wanted to do. And that's what I did. Part of my week was working on this project around the house of taking all the cabinet doors off and in the kitchen and painting, the base of the cabinets in the cabinet doors. And I did all those things. I would spend part of my time doing that, part of my time just kind of relaxing, doing nothing, and some of my time cooking and walking the dogs all in one day. Now that might sound like a lot, but I can tell you I was so relaxed, so rested, just doing those things that came so easy and so natural to me. And if I needed to get out with some people, I took 5 minutes and I drove up to the store and just kind of walked around and talked to people and looked them in the eye and smiled and said hi. And, that might seem kind of odd depending, on where you're at or where you're from, but I found it very connective between me and that person. And I didn't know them. They didn't know me, but it was just good to connect and say, hello, how are you? Or even ask someone, hey, look, do you look like you need, some help? Can I help you with that? Some said yes, some said no, but that's okay. It was the right thing for me to do. And I felt every part of that in my heart and in my body. There were no stories going on in my head saying, oh, they're going to think you're weird. You're this, you're that. You know what? I didn't care. It was fun. I found it fun. What do you do for fun? What do you do to relax? What do you do to rest? It could be sleeping, and I'm all for sleeping. I like my sleep, and I always feel so much better when I get enough sleep. That doesn't mean I need to feel guilty about it or I need to go do this, that, or other tasks before I can go to bed at night. Or simply maybe take a nap in the afternoon. There is no earning, but doing. Allow yourself to do. And sometimes we don't allow ourselves to do because it felt normal since childhood that you got to clean your room first, that you have to do your homework first, that you have to clean the house first, you have to go shovel the driveway first, or go help mom, go help dad, go feed the animals, go do, go do, go do. And when we constantly are doing and going and doing and going, it's a repeated pattern that we have now imprinted on ourselves. And that's what we know. We've been doing it for years, right? But what if that's not the right thing for you? What if you were wired just a little differently? We're going to touch a little bit on human design. So you might have a line 2 in your profile where you need to step back and re-energize and restore your internal resources, your energy, your rest. And that means many times that we need to pull back from maybe a family event or spending a Saturday, maybe just doing nothing, just putzing around the house, maybe, but not doing because you felt like you should be doing all these things, but just to let it come and to let it flow into a rhythm that feels good and restful and natural to you. And I know we hear that word flow a lot. And it's like, okay, sometimes I struggle with certain words. And while I understand what flow means and I understand the intent behind it, sometimes I, I feel we can abuse certain words. And when someone else might hear, I'm in the flow or get in the flow, and you're like, what the heck is that? So here's my take on it. And this might help is do what comes natural and feels good to you in your body at that moment and take your time doing it at your pace, your way, and just be you in that moment. It's not about what other people think, what other people do, what they think you should be doing, or you should do it this way. Yeah, get rid of those shoulds. I'm getting better at getting rid of those shoulds too. And just, I don't know, what's a better word for flow? Putz around. Do what feels right for you in the day. And at the end of the day, the tiredness you might feel will be very different than the constant going and hustle that you normally do. Or you may find that at the end of the day, you feel so much more rested. And here's the other thing is when you allow yourself to go at your pace, what feels right for you and what you want to do and how you want to do it and who you want to be with, you find you have more time because you're not in that hustle and grind and the controlling and the pushing. You're just letting it all just come so naturally that all of a sudden you feel rested and you have this time. And that's what I experienced this week. And it was amazing. I've experienced it before, but this week it was so much different. There was more of it. And as I say more of it, what also comes to me is I am living more of my human design of how I was wired, how I was made to be, how to be, who to be, not what all the external voices are telling us to how we should think, how we should dress, how we should talk, how we how we should. None of that. Absolutely none of that was happening. And it was amazing. So can you think about that? Can you consider resting without earning? Or feeling like you should earn it first. How many times have we heard growing up? And I bet you I probably heard it, I don't know, several dozen times this past month of, okay, I'll go take some time off when I have finished this project because I will have earned the time off. I will have earned my rest. I will have earned my joy. I will have earned the moment to go and play. Why do we have to earn anything that is going to reclaim our rest, our self-worth, our internal validation, our internal intuition? Because that's what it's about. It's so good. So good. And not to force it. Just not to force it. And then can you do this other thing? Just if you don't feel like you can really take a day, half a day, maybe even a couple hours to rest and restore, can you take a minute or two and just put your hand on your chest and say, I am here. I am here. I can let this be okay just for now. I can let this be okay just for now. And take those few moments just to rest, just a few. Take some deep breaths in and deep breaths. I am here. I am enough. I can let this be okay just for the moment and repeat those words and repeat them and repeat them and repeat them. You can also use them as a quick tapping. I can let this be okay just for now. I am here. I am enough. I am here. I am enough. And you can repeat it with the taps on your head, top of your head, and repeat it again above the eye. Again, side of eye. Keep repeating the same phrase. Under the eye. Keep repeating that same phrase. Under the nose. Cleft in the chin. Keep repeating that same phrase. Collarbone. And again. Under the arm. Sometimes also we may not feel like we have the words. They might feel like they get stuck here in our throat and they just can't come out. It's like they just can't come out. And that's okay. That's energy and it's getting kind of stuck in here, right? But you can use the same tapping sequence in here and in here and here and no words. By tapping, it connects into specific meridians depending on where you're tapping at, right? The one that comes to mind real quick is the side of hand kind of hits and releases all of those meridians and top of head the same. And under the eye, I know that one directly connects to the stomach. I think I've said this before, but if you ever go into the grocery store and you weren't hungry when you went in the grocery store, but you are starving by the time you come out, let me take off my glasses and tap underneath the eye. You don't have to say anything, just tap and do that for, a few seconds up to a few minutes. And that because you got hit with all those sensory smells and energies around the food in the grocery store. And it's like, oh, that's so good. And you just want to eat, right? Okay, I do. So I tap under here because if I go and I eat all the things, I'm going to be one very miserable person. Anyway, that's just a little tip. But anyway, yeah. So try the 90-second hand on chest, try the tapping, right? And try and use your words, okay? And if they get stuck, that's okay. They get stuck. Just simply tap. Allow yourself to tap. And if you don't remember the whole sequence, you can always, like at the top right here on your finger and these two fingers, and just tap. And sometimes you don't have the words, and it's still okay. You're still moving energy. And sometimes you do. And use the words. There's no right or wrong phrase. Trust me, there's no right or wrong phrase. But that is a way to quickly regulate your nervous system. And that's a lot of what this is about. And moving the energies out so they don't get trapped in our bodies. We don't become ill because we've trapped all these emotions in our body, these feelings, these experiences. For many of us, it's a lot of years and it can make us sick. It can truly make us sick, physically sick, chronically sick. It can cause autoimmune disorders, joint pain, digestive issues, gut problems, headaches. It can do a lot of things when we continue to ignore the feelings that we have coming in, the feelings that we push down, the guilt that we might feel because we feel like we have to earn our time off. We don't have to earn our time off. Let yourself take the time because you're so worth it. I'm worth it. We're all worth it. So, okay, that's kind of it. And this is, also a lot of what we'll be looking at in the 4-week program that'll start probably, like I said, mid-August for 4 weeks. We look at some of the wounding, we look at your human design, we look at maybe where some of your human design is bumping into some of the core wounds of your human design, the lessons we were here to learn, to heal, and how we can start to energetically move that from your body. So that'll be 4 weeks. And like I said, live calls, no course videos to watch or homework to do. And I have nothing against that. I've done those when I have signed up for courses and I've gotten a lot of value out of them. But I also know, and like I said before, that my strength, my gift to you is when I'm in a room with you and we talk and I hear you and I feel your energy. And that's what I can give you. And that's how we start to move through. So, yeah. So, 4 weeks working on identifying where that core wound is, what that's looking like for you, and how that you see that in bits and pieces of your life and how we can start to move that energy. And then how we can start to build a foundation of self-trust, inner validation, your intuition, trusting it instead of trying to analyze it. So in the show notes, I will leave my social media handles for any questions you might have. You can DM me there. I will leave my email address and you can always reach me through there with any questions that you have. And then I will also leave my website. That's what I was trying to get it. get out to my website. Down at the very bottom, still working on the website, at the very bottom is put in all your birth details, and you can get your human design with a 10-page free report and have a look at that and let that kind of sit and kind of marinate and see how you feel about that. And ask me questions about it. I would love to hear from you. Anyway, so I hope you all have an amazing week and we'll talk soon.